Hi everybody, this is a report back on how things have gone with the loss of the data on my dad's computer. Well, it turns out that I was able to get his photos back off his iPhone by plugging them in to the computer and pulling them off. I have actually taken Linux off and managed to boot up an old copy of Vista, and then I replaced it with a copy of Windows 10, which I downloaded from the Microsoft website, the 32-bit version, and then I used the Windows 7 key under my PC, which I no longer use because I don't use Windows myself, and managed to get Windows 10 to activate. Once I got it all installed, the printer was working, the whole computer was working as it should, managed to get all the emails back up that were there that were gone, managed to get back basically everything that he'd lost. Maybe he's lost about 5% of his photos somewhere that might still be in his phone somewhere, but hopefully everything's working. Basically, when I had Linux on there, it would not print, it would not do any of the things that it should do. I tried with the cups thing, and it found it initially but then lost it and wouldn't find it again. It was a Brother printer. I don't know whether there's something particular about Brother printers, but I was having a lot of trouble with it, and coupled with initially thinking we'd lost the data, I decided to spend the night and try and sort it out. I downloaded Windows successfully off of Microsoft. Funnily enough, I tried the 64-bit version on my computer and it didn't work, so I was really unsure if it was even going to work on his when I tried the 32-bit version, but thankfully it has worked, and he's got all his photos back off of his phone, he's got all his emails, and it all works as he expected. His wife's emails are working, the whole computer's doing better than before. The viruses that were there in Windows Vista initially, which was why I tried to put Linux on in the first place, are now gone. I don't know how long it's going to last on Windows. I know there's all the holes in the security issues, and that it can be hacked as much easier than Linux can, but I'm sure it's I hope it's going to be better than Vista. I'm sure almost that it's going to be better than Vista from all the things I've heard about Vista. I've never personally owned a copy of Vista, but gosh, if it was anything like Windows Millennium that I remember having years ago, then I'm glad it's no longer on the system. I couldn't even print anything. I mean, I could print stuff, but I couldn't even prepare anything on it to print because it was so slow to get to the point where you were about to press print, and then when you'd press print, you'd be waiting for about 10 minutes for it to actually print. And that was the Vista experience. So I really thought that putting Linux on was going to make a difference, and Linux Mint. But yeah, I mean, if I hadn't have initially lost the data like I thought I had, he probably would have been happy. But and if the printer had worked, and if we had been able to get Thunderbird to get all his emails to come up, which was having a bit of trouble, if it hadn't been for all of that, and the fact that I was trying to do it so quickly, then maybe it would have worked out. But I think that he's better off being with Linux. Maybe not at all. I think he's probably better that he remains with Windows, and Windows 10 at least is going to give him a better experience than what he's been getting off of Windows Vista. So yeah, happy to report everything's all good, and for those of you who heard the last video, thanks for tuning in just to hear the update. If you'd like to help me out, just go to my Patreon page, Linux Vector. I hope that you have a great night, great morning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Good luck with it. If you have any questions about anything else, or any comments, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Tell me what you think of Windows Vista. Windows Vista to me is an anathema. It's one of the worst Windows I've ever heard of. I mean, I'd rather have Windows 98, and that's saying something. I wouldn't go as far as saying I'd want Windows 95, although that wasn't such a bad system when it first came out. If I had have known there was a way to get rid of Network Neighborhood off the background, that would have been nice to have been able to do that, because that was always a thorn on top of the desktop and stuff. It wasn't that intuitive, all that stuff. I much prefer Linux, I can tell you now. But yeah, for my father's purposes, Windows 10 Professional is going to do fine, and I've I've given him a copy of LibreOffice PC instead of Microsoft Office, so we haven't gone the Microsoft route, so it's all been done basically free because I don't want Windows on my computer, and I just run Wine 4.0, the latest version. It is really good. The last version I had was having trouble doing the shader effects on some of the games, but last night I reinstalled my whole system with Cinnamon 19.2 and followed it with a Wine install, and the next day I went and installed all my Windows games, and there were no more shader issues, no more rendering issues, so it's really good. And I think Wine really is going leaps and bounds ahead. Every week they're coming out with new updates that are making it better, and so I hope everyone enjoys it as it keeps growing. It's I've noticed on the Linux Mint app store that now you can actually download the version of Linux Mint Wine that will work on the computer, and it actually comes up then in the start menu with a spot where you can go to the C drive instead of having to go all the way, you know, to the Wine box, which is inside the home folder, and then go show hidden files and go find it at the bottom and then open it up and then go into C drive. Now it's actually right there in the menu, and you just go into Wine and there it is. So if you have trouble launching from the desktop, you can go straight into an app that way, so it's a lot quicker than having to do it the other way, which was to go in directly through the home folder like I was saying. So Wine really is improving. I'm able to play Age of Empires on here. You know, the issue I had with that was I couldn't play it initially on Wine, and thought, you know, gee, what am I going to do? Microsoft maybe have made it so I can't play it, you know, because I've only been using Linux for about 4 months now, so I just want to bring it to how I had my Windows PC, but not, you know, completely. You know, I love Linux stuff myself, so personally some of the games in Linux just are streets ahead of the Windows stuff, so, you know, I just want to have some of the good oldies that I love, like Pirates, Sid Meier's, you know, Colonization and stuff. I want to be able to play those, which is easy enough, and I've got all that running. You know, most of the games that I like weren't made beyond 2010-12 anyway. I've been trying to get Just Cause 2 to work, but I'll see how I go. I tried it with the old Wine system, but I might give it a go with the new Wine system now that that's working and report back on how that goes. But you know, I dare say it'll probably be just as much trouble. But then I thought that with Age of Empires, see, it used to load up and then shrink, and then I figured out all I had to do was load up the Wine config, which you had to do before by going into the terminal, but now you can do it from the start menu, from the menu, but it makes it real easy, so you can basically change it from Windows 10 to Windows XP to Windows 7, and I found that with Age of Empires 3 that it wouldn't launch in Windows 10's version of whatever they've got set up for the settings for Windows 10. It just shrinks it down and then goes problem with the program and closes down. Well, I worked out if I switch it to Windows XP, it will launch. So then I got into it, and then it was having shader issues, so I got rid of the shaders and the game was working fairly good, and I was happy with that. But then last night when I reinstalled it, I realised I didn't have to change the shaders and it was working fine, so I loaded it into a game just to see, and yeah, everything's like exactly like it was on the PC, so the game's been basically cracked for Wine and for Linux. So yeah, I mean, Age of Empires didn't work about 4 months ago, and now it's working good as gold, so it's incredible. I mean, Need for Speed, it just flies along. One of my favourite games, Sid Meier's Pirates, works perfectly. All the shaders, everything just works like a charm. It's brilliant. So, you know, I've got LibreOffice. I find no need to ever have Windows on Wine, so I've given Dad my Windows code, and I hope he enjoys it because I don't need it. I don't need it at all, but I'm glad that it's making his computer work, and I'm glad I've made it at least better than it was before when it was running on Vista, and he's got his memories back, he's got all that stuff. That's the most important thing. Thanks very much for keeping up with me and listening this far into the talk, and appreciate your time, and would appreciate your support, and I appreciate your you know, encouragement. Thank you very much, and yeah, I guess I'll end it there, and it's nice to be able to end it on a good note. Thanks very much. Goodbye.